Hi, everybody. It's a beautiful Sunday down here on Lake Erie, our little tiny shoreline of Lake Erie in Michigan. And I am Julie Benak from Fresh Lotus Design. I'm a new vendor on WAFA this month, so I'm really excited. And we are going to be talking about color today. This is my first demo for WAFA, and I'm also really psyched about this. This will appeal to both indie dyers and also folks who just knit. I shouldn't say just knit, or not the sellers, but actually people that do projects. Which I know for myself, I have a hard time getting anything really finished. But it gives you an idea of how to come up with great colors. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into it in a minute here, just to tell you a little bit about Fresh Lotus Design, about myself. Hi, Danny. I actually have been in fiber arts for 12 years now. I had a little biz back in 2008, and then I took a break to go up to Detroit and work with the homeless women that we worked with. I taught them how to sew on industrial equipment, and they rebuilt their lives, and we made a coat that went out to the homeless in the streets. So I took a 5-year hiatus from that, but I still never stopped fiber, never stopped color. This is just where my heart is. But I'm back at it now, and I am really, really excited. So anyway, 12 years ago, when I was starting in color and trying to come up with great ways to put colors together for fiber for my dyeing, I started out with these wonderful books like this. You can see that. The Color Index from Jim Krause was where I began, and I never stopped buying these books. I just love them. And if you can look and see all these beautiful colors put together, and they were wonderful. I was like, how can I do that? I want to do that too. Well, today, as opposed to 12 years ago, there are tools that are fantastic to use, that are really wonderful and really easy to use. And I'm going to tell you about one of them today. And it's simply a website. It is color.adobe.com. And we're going to, I'm going to set up my screen so that I can show you exactly how to use the website, so you can see how easy it is. And you'll see WAFA on here in my live stream. Just give me a sec here, and we will get it where it needs to be. So I have the website saved as a bookmark. Again, it is color.adobe.com. Very simple. And we're going to go full screen here, and I'm going to tell you about this snazzy little tool here that I think you all will enjoy. And just to give you an idea, what is this? It's basically, Adobe Color is a tool for creating color palettes, and you really can't do anything wrong. You can't make a mistake. It is a fun, playing with color kind of thing that you might end up finding yourself spending a lot of time here and coming up with some beautiful colors. And basically, we're going to talk about 3 simple areas in the site that kind of have some big fancy names, but I will explain what they are. They're really nothing too difficult. We're not going to start here on color wheel. Okay, we're going to start with extract theme. And while that's a fancy way of saying bring in a photo into Adobe Color and let's pick out colors from it. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to select a file for our photo, and of course there is no better photo than our WAFA November Dye Along event photo. This photo is beautiful. There's a lot of really cool nuances of color here that I'm sure you guys noticed. I know I did. But anyway, I want to point out now, as we get into Adobe Color, the themes that they're talking about are over here on the left. So we've got colorful, and when you bring in a photo, it goes right to the colorful theme, and it shows you their ideas for what they think is a colorful scheme from this photo. And we can click on bright and see what they come up with. Look at these colors. Muted, nice toned down, beautiful colors. Deep, picking out some of the darkest colors and providing some contrast. And dark, all dark colors, which would be my go-to because I always like deep saturated colors. But in any case, the circles that you see here, I'm sure you've gathered, correspond with the palette down below. Now, these circles and their locations are not set in stone at all. Like, for example, I wouldn't exactly go for two grays like this right next to each other if I was dyeing fiber. So I might move this, you know, move it to something else, move it to a shade of this red. And you can do that for any of these, obviously. You can take and you can completely destroy their palette and you can make your own. And that's kind of, you know, their palettes are suggestions, they're jumping points. And a lot of times that's what we need, right? You know, to get started thinking about color. Well, you know, what's a decent color combination? Let's look and see what they picked out. So in our photo, as I've looked at this over the last couple weeks, we have some beautiful grays here. The grays in the stones really spoke to me. And I love how they're kind of green gray, they're kind of neutral gray. Here's one that's it's got a little bit of a shade of a blush tone to it. All these different grays. It's not just gray rocks. There are hundreds of shades of gray. And as dyers and crafters and knitters and people who work with color, we can take these colors and inject them into our projects in all sorts of different ways. So basically, let me look at my notes here. So if you go down to none, I didn't quite understand what this was, but basically this is a place where you can pick out your own colors and create your own palette that's not, you know, affected by the themes up here. So anyway, I'm going to pick out a theme here. I'm going to go for the dark shades that I love so much, and I'm going to contrast with a couple of these grays. So I really like that, and I love these grays. I can't get too light though. I want to go a little darker. Even the color gray between the stones is really cool. And then this one, let's take it over here. Whoops, we lost our guy. Let's take it over here into some of these really cool browns in this wood here. So now these two are a little close. I would probably do a different value on these, lighter or darker. But this is a palette I can start with. And over here, we can save the palette. We can, you know, create an account in Adobe Color if you want to. You don't have to, but you can save your palette. I can save this as, you know, let's see, whoops, sorry. WAFA week 2, November. And then I can save it. And then I can go back to it at any time. Now, what are these numbers under here, under these colors? These numbers are your ticket to recreating these colors. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later, and not in too much depth because it would be a whole nother demo all on its own. But I will show you about these numbers in just a second here. But let's look at the next section of Adobe Color called Extract Gradient. Now that is just a fancy way of saying, let's take 2 or more colors and let's see what happens when we mix them, okay? Because a lot of times we can start with a couple colors and they're beautiful together. And if you don't have a super keen knowledge of color theory, you can end up with something that you don't quite expect, even with colors that you love. So here's a tool that will help you visualize how colors blend, because when you're blending dyes and you're blending colors on fiber, you need to know. So let's go to Extract Gradient, and I will tell you what that means. A gradient is basically 2 colors and how they combine. A gradient can also be light to dark. You can start with a dark color and gradient it out to a lighter color. But in this case, and for the purposes of dyeing on fiber, I like to know how two colors, even three colors, placed side by side on fiber are going to look if they run into each other. Because, like I said, you know, a lot of times they can run into each other and it's not always pretty. So let's take, now for starters, Adobe Color always it defaults to three colors, a three-color gradient. I'm going to take it down to two for the purposes of ease and simplicity, just so you can get an idea. Hang on, need a drink. Okay, so let's take two colors. You've picked out your gradient, or I'm sorry, your color palette from your photo. You really like this red, and you want to put it next to, oh, I don't know, maybe this let's find that dark gray that I like. Here we go. Here we go. Now, what's interesting that you can see, this is kind of a rosy, like a rose-tinted brown. It's got a lot of red in it. And as we travel over to the other color that we're putting side by side next to it, you can see how it blends here. And you can see kind of what you're going to get. Now, let me stop right now and explain to you some of the buts and the exceptions to this. When you're working in Adobe Color and you're working on anything that's digital, you're working with theoretical color, okay? You're working with print color. Now, do these colors translate perfectly to dye? Not always. But at least it gives you an idea of what you can expect if two colors will not blend so well. Now, the only problem with this tool that I have seen is that you can choose a gradient from two colors in a photograph, but I have not found a way to just say, okay, I want to gradiate red and blue. There's no way to do that in here. So you have to start with a photo for this particular tool. It's kind of a bummer because, you know, sometimes you just, you know, have an idea and you want to see if it'll work. This particular tool does not give you that ability as far as I know. But in any case, if we're working from a photo, which we do for WAFA, we can get this. We can bring the photo into Adobe Color and we can have fun with this, just picking out colors, you know, moving these around and seeing what all we can do here. Now, I am going to move it up to three colors because, of course, I don't know about you, but I don't like these slider things, you know. There we go. I use at least three colors when I do a colorway. It just, you know, sometimes two, but very rarely. But let's talk about three colors, and let's see how three colors would blend across a piece of fiber. This is a good one. It's going into black. And you can see, now black is a very strong color, so you know it's really going to affect either color on either side of it. So you can predict that this would be a little darker, and you'd have to be real careful applying your color that it doesn't overtake these colors. But you can see here, even here, the black creates a shade for this color. And that's pretty cool that we can see that. We can kind of know what it's going to look like and be like, yeah, I'll try that. That looks kind of good. I like that. And you can make, in Adobe Color, you can do crazy things like, you know, 12 colors. You know, I don't know if anybody would ever do that, but if you want to, you can. So basically, this is the gist of the entire tool, okay? Bring in a photo, pick out colors, move these dots around, follow their themes or not, or take one of their themes, let's go back to themes, and, you know, expand on it, move circles around, find different ways to combine colors, save your palette to use them later, and that gives you some fun place to start. So now that we've gone over the basic tools of Adobe Color and how you can use it with a photo. Let's go back to this color wheel. I just want to show you, I don't want to scare anybody with, intense color theory at all. That's not what we're going to do here. This is just another fun tool that uses color, and you can see it has taken the palette that I created with the photo and it has placed it on the color wheel, so you can see where all these colors are on the color wheel if you're interested in that. But basically I want to show you some favorite ways that I have to come up with color palettes, and there's these 4 terms over here are ones I just want to touch on, and I don't want you to be scared of these words. They're big words, but they are very simple. So let's talk about analogous colors. This is my favorite way to make a color palette. I'll admit it. Analogous colors are colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. That's all. Okay, so when you think of color, like we show here, yellow, orange, yellow, red, actually yellow, orange, red, purple. Why do they look good together? Because they're analogous. They're right next to each other on the color wheel. They accent each other. They are they're like arm in arm buddies. They always look good together. You can't go wrong. And so for the purposes of safety in my color work, analogous colors are the way to go. Now let me show you how to use this tool in Adobe Color to get away from orange. I know I should use more orange, and I just don't. You see this little triangle here? This little triangle will move this whole group wherever you want it to go. And you can take individual colors and pull them out. And of course you get a different effect when you do that. And I can still take this, move it around, and look at that. So we've all seen these colors together on everybody's fiber, everybody's yarn. Why? Because they always look good. They're beautiful. And what you can do too, say you've got this guy right here, okay? This beautiful analogous color palette, colors right next to each other on the color wheel. What would you do if you wanted to make this pop? What you would do is look over here on the other side of the color wheel, right around in here. And this is the complement to these colors. Okay, we're going to talk about complementary colors in a second, but this is how you could make it pop. Put in a yellow, put in an orange, and boom, that color just flies right out and puts all the other analogous colors standing there with their arm in arm, just puts them in the background a little bit. They're there to support the yellow. So you can do that too. It's a lot of fun. So these are analogous colors. These are no-fail, can never go wrong colors, okay? If you're just starting out dyeing and you want to know where to start, what color should I put together? Oh, please, red, purple, blue. Make it happen, and you will love it. I guarantee it. Of course, I'm biased. Those are my favorite colors. Anyway, next up, monochromatic. It's another big word that, really doesn't have to be so scary. But let's click on monochromatic, and you will probably get the idea right away. Monochromatic is colors that are all pretty much the same shade, okay? You're taking colors that are very, very similar and just adjusting their hue, adjusting their shade, how much black is in it, how light it is, its saturation, how dense and deep the color is. All of these put together in the same color family. Again, this is another way you can't go wrong. Monochromatic colors look fantastic. We wear monochromatic colors when we wear navy trousers and a light blue shirt. That's a monochromatic color ensemble that you have put on. When I wear gray and black, it's another monochromatic color ensemble. Always looks good. So again, with this, we can take it around. We can do any kind of, oh, look at this one. Ooh, look at that. The teals. Oh, just beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. Now, what I would do if I was looking at this seriously for a color palette for dyeing, I would select colors out of here. Not all of them. For example, C and E here are too close for me. I wouldn't bother trying to figure out those colors, trying to dye them and put them in a colorway, because to me they would look so much the same that you really wouldn't be able to differentiate, right? But let's talk about A, B, C, and D. Now these four colors would look beautiful. A and D are a little similar too. I might take D down a notch, make it just a touch lighter, touch less saturated. But all in all, you would get a great color scheme out of this, and you could call it, you know, cool water or waterfall or something like that. Let's go over to yellows. And now this is an area where I really have to push myself, because the warm side of the color wheel is just not where I like to hang out, and I should, because every time I do, it's beautiful. So, stupid Julie, why not? I need to do that more, you know? So look at this beautiful wheat field ensemble we've got going on here. Again, this color and this color are a little too similar for my liking, but I may take B, C, and D, you know, just these three, and work with them on a piece of fiber, on some yarn. Just gorgeous. You've got enough difference in these colors where they will show up, and you will be able to see individual colors. Things won't just, you know, blend and lose color. I like this a lot, so I'm gonna save that. Yes, I am. So let's go over here. I mean, you get the idea. I'm preaching to the choir now, okay? Again, another beautiful, beautiful selection. And I would choose maybe for this one, again, B, C, D. I think I like that range. I think I like what the placement they've got here. Now, next up in our color theory terms, you know what? Hang on, guys. I'm gonna see, because I can't see the WAFA screen. I'm gonna go back here, and you're gonna see this. So hang on. I'm just going to make sure that. Oh, I have to go somewhere else. All right. Well, never mind. Never mind. I'll have to get back to questions at another time, because I don't want to take you all through my computer, because you can see my screen, obviously. Anyway, let's go back to where we were. Triad. Now, a triad, we've talked about color side by side. We've talked about same shade of color, different iterations of it, all in a row, monochromatic. Now we're going to talk about triad, and you can see what they've done here. This is basically a division of the color wheel in 3 equal parts, and taking a shade from each of those equal parts, and they tend to look good together. That's just color theory for you. Look at that. They look good together. Again, if you want to change this really wouldn't be, this is kind of cool, but not really high on my list. Take your little triangle here and move it around, spread it out, get into different values of color. You get closer to the center, you get a lighter value. Get out toward the edge of the color wheel, you get deeper values. Look at that. Ooh. Now these are beautiful. I mean, I could play with this all day. I really could, you guys. I mean, I really could. It's so much fun. You don't have to, you don't have to know color theory. In fact, I think it's better if you don't know color theory. You can go in here and learn a little bit about it without those preconceived notions of color, like I have. Like, I don't like the warm side of the color wheel. You know, if you can come in here fresh and new, then it's even better, because then you're on level ground and nothing is affecting your perception of color. So this is a triad again, and you can see, just play with it. see what colors pop up, move it in, move it out. Ooh, look at that. Look at these neutrals, how it just goes neutral. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it. I love it. It's so much fun. So that is a triad. And again, it is dividing the color wheel up into 3 equal sections and choosing colors from those sections. And hang on, need a drink? Give me a second here. I just got a great idea of how I can see what's going on. I am going to go on my phone to WAFA to find myself and make sure I'm not missing anyone's questions. Okay. All right. What program? Okay. Hang on here. Hi, Danny. Tony. That was 17 minutes ago. Okay, I'm in Adobe Color. Hopefully you caught that. Patty Monzon, you use this too? That's great. That is great. I love this. This thing is it's just the bomb. I think it's great. Okay, Isabel. Gradient. You're allowed to look at a gradient color starting from color palette with that. Yes, Isabel, I wish I could do that, to start with just 2 colors and just do a gradient. For some reason, I have not found out how to do that in this tool. And I'm really surprised, but I'm going to still play with it. Stay tuned. You know, I may discover how to do that. I hope I do, because that's important. It's important to know how these colors are going to blend. Okay, let me see here. Now that you have a really cool palette, and this is not a really cool palette, so let's find a really cool palette. I'm gonna go, or actually no, I'm not done. I'm not done talking about our terms. Oh, shame on me. Complementary is our next area. Now this one is if you're new to color theory, this one is kind of a tough one to grasp sometimes. Well, it's tough because it's not what you expect. But it's easy because, you know, oh yeah, I know complementary colors. Complementary colors. Why do they look good together? Because they're directly across from the color wheel. They're directly across from each other on the color wheel. Now, what that means is they look good together because they dramatically accent each other, okay? Red and green. A stoplight. Right? Catches your attention. Red and green. Christmas. Red and green. Why do they use those colors? Because they look good together. University of Michigan, U of M. You know, go maize and blue. Why maize and blue? Because, hello, maize and blue. They are across from each other on the color wheel. And you will find complementary colors used all the time in marketing and logos and the ones that you really remember. And this is why you remember them, because they use a complementary color scheme that is dramatic, directly across from each other on the color wheel, and that's why they look great. However, there is a caveat to this, and this is where I wish I could pull a gradient from this right here. But unfortunately, I don't think I can. And like I said, I've tried. Isabel, I am going to figure it out. It may just not be something that they thought of, and I really wish that they would have, because for us, for dyers, it's important. For anyone blending colors, it's very important. Okay, you may love our Christmas scheme here. Okay, I love red and green. They're beautiful colors. They're gorgeous. I want to do them. I don't care what you say. Okay, fine. That's fine. No problem. But let me show you what happens. And honestly, it's not a bad thing, okay, combining complementary colors. But when you combine complementary colors, you get brown. It's just a surefire way to make brown. And I've called it anything from the poop color to red and green together make blah. But you know what? If you want to make some really cool neutrals, this is the way to do it. But let me just show you. Let me just give you a little eye opener of what happens when you combine complementary colors. Hang on here. do with it? All right, we've got one missing here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. All right. This is a really good example of mixing and combining red and green. And this is how it blends on fiber. Now, it's beautiful. I am not saying that this is anything bad. There are no bad colors. But these colors are very neutral. They are very toned down. And we started with a dark shade of red and an olivey green. And when they combine on the fiber, you'll see the points where they combine is brown. So if that's what you're going for, that's great. You're in, no problem. Another thing to consider too, if you say, well, I'm going to keep the colors separate. I'm not going to worry about them blending. I'm going to put something in between them or whatever, so I won't have to worry about it. Here's the deal. When your fiber is done and in the hands of a spinner, the spinner, and we'll just say it's a she, even though I know that we are not all she's, she or he is going to draft out this fiber. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you draft out the fiber? The colors are going to blend. They're going to visually blend. Your eye cannot see those different shades. They visually blend into brown. So if you want a really cool, like if I spun this up, these would be socks for my Patrick. Okay, they would be a nice, masculine, earthy palette that will really be beautiful. But just be careful, because complementary colors on their own are gorgeous, but when you blend them, they become something completely different. So it's just something to keep in mind. All right, and that's as far as I'm going to go with the color theory terms. I'm not going to get into split complementary, double split, square. I'm not going to get into all of that. This is the basics of what you kind of should know as a dyer, and if you don't, it will help you a lot to really enhance your palettes that you make. Now, remember when we talked about these numbers down here? So I went back to extract theme, and again, that's just a fancy term for bring your photo into Adobe Color and pick colors out from it and make pretty palettes. And here's a few themes to help you do that. That's all extract theme means. That's all it is. But when they give you these colors, they give you these codes down here. And again, I am not going to get into deep into this because this is really a whole, it's very cool. It's a whole nother demo, and maybe I'll do one, I don't know. These are called hex codes. Now, I don't want to get too technical. I don't want to scare you or anything like that. But you can use these codes to take a stab at creating these colors in dye. Now, let me give you just scratch the surface of how this works, okay? I'm going to see here. I'm going to click on one of these colors, or click on the hex code. Oh, no, that just made, all right, I'm copying it to clipboard. I thought there was a way to, all right, this is very strange. Well, in any case, with these colors, they can be broken down into 4 primaries. And the 4 primaries they are broken down into are CMYK. Now, what do these colors, what does CMYK mean? Hang on, I am going to try, here we go. All right. Back on the color wheel page, I can go into what CMYK means. It is a color mode, okay? There's different color modes besides CMYK, but we're going to talk about CMYK. Now, what is CMYK? Don't freak out, it's really easy. C is blue, cyan blue. M, magenta, red. Y, yellow. K, black. Blue, red, yellow, black. Your primaries. Now, as a side note, CMYK is a color system for print, all right? Not even really on screen. RGB is more for on screen, so we're not even going to talk about that. But CMYK gives you a starting point for dyeing. And the reason why is because each one of these primaries is present in a color. Well, not all of them, but some of these, at least one of the CMYK values are present in each color. And I'll show you. This is kind of difficult to understand here, the way they've got this. But you can see here for this color right here, color D, there is 0% blue, 0%. Wait, let me check it out here. I make sure I get this right here. So for this one, is this A? In any case, we're trying to find how where we go with this. I think it's here. Yeah, it's just straight down here. This is how it. I'm sorry, terribly sorry. So for this one, for C, is 0. There's no blue in here. There's no blue in this color at all. Now for magenta, for our red, 79% is red. For yellow, we're at 86% yellow, because there's a lot of yellow in here. And then because it's a deeper color, we're at 45% black. Now, what do these numbers mean, and how can you use them to create a color? Well, again, that is a whole nother discussion that would take me forever to bumble through and try to explain to you. But there is a lady right here on WAFA that we all know and love, and her name is Alana Wilcox. And let me tell you about how wonderful Alana is. She is an inspiration to me for color. This woman has dialed this method in so perfectly, and she has created a system that's proprietary to her. But what she did for the rest of us is she made this. And I don't know how many of you have seen this or heard of this. This is written by Alana. And this is called Dying to Get the Colors You Want. Now, this is not only a tutorial on how to work with CMYK percentages to get colors. She also provides with this document a spreadsheet where you can fill in your values. You can fill in your 79%, your 86%, your 45% in relation to the fiber that you're dyeing, and you will get amounts of dye of each primary to use. So please do check that out. She is amazing, and she, like I said, it's a great jumping point. Does it always work? Do print CMYK colors always translate perfectly to dye? No, they don't. They don't, because it's a completely different medium. It's mixing inks on paper is vastly different from mixing dyes on fiber. And you know, you can just assume that. But if you're trying to get a really obscure color, it's a great place to start. Now, you can also, there's several different ways. Okay, so you've got your palette and you love it, and now you're saying to yourself, well, how do I get these colors? Well, CMYK is one way, and it's, you know, probably the most, it's not labor intensive, but it's a little bit of math, and it's a little bit of work. But there's lots of other ways you can do it. You see all these bottles up here? All these bottles up here are a lot of the pre-mixed colors that ProChem uses, Dharma uses. I don't use them a great deal. I use them for when I'm in a hurry and I want to, you know, dye up some pretty product quickly and you know, just do it. Most of the colors I use are mixed from primaries, and they're complex, and they're just really cool. I'm not saying these colors are not. They're great. Here's the thing. When you buy a new pre-mixed color, like, what is this one? Plum 822. This is from ProChem. Do yourself a favor and dye samples of it at 100%. This is a 1% solution. 1 gram of dye powder to 100 milliliters of water. Do a 100% saturation 50%, 20%, 10%. Because let me tell you, the lighter in shade that you go, that color may change. And you may end up with something, wow, I didn't realize. Chocolate brown is a great example. Chocolate brown from Prochem turns into this beautiful, almost a mauvey color in its lighter tones. So it is worth it to you to take the time to sample out your new dye. You get a new dye, cool, it's a pretty color, I love it. You're looking at its full shade, full strength color on the color chart, and you love it. But if you dye it at different values, at different strengths, you'll see a whole range of colors that you can get from this one color. So it's worth it to do some sampling, because then when you come back to a palette like this, I can look at color C here, for example, and say, or color B, and I can say, you know what, this looks kind of a little bit like Prochem's Apricot, but, you know, maybe it needs a touch of something, or a touch of, you know, a touch of another color, whatever. It gives you a starting point. You can look at your samples and you can say, okay, Apricot at a 80% value might be pretty close to this. I'm just shooting in the dark here. I don't think it is. I think Apricot has a little more of this color in it. But you see what I'm saying? It is a way to get close to colors that you see in a palette, either from a book or on screen. Now, I have yet another tool. We have Alana Wilcox and her Dying to Get the Colors You Want. Again, I did a shout out to Alana because her color is, she's amazing. But there is another lady who 12 years ago got me into this, and when I was trying desperately to match these colors using CMYK values, I discovered Susan Rex. Susan Rex did a lot of hard work for us, and she created 12 years ago this book, Complex Color Mixing for Wash Fast Acid Dyes. Now what she did is she took the set of primaries and she expanded them, and she added in chocolate brown, she added in several blends of her own, like bottle green and yellow green and red brown and colors like that, and the whole set, I think there's like eight primaries that she starts with. From those 8 primaries, she has hundreds and hundreds of colors, and every one of these colors, these little swatches that you see here, is a recipe that you can use to create a color on fiber with acid dyes. No question of how it's going to turn out. Susan did the work. It's here. So again, I'm hoping that she still has this book available. I know she reprinted some more because people started finding out about it and they're like, I want it. Yes, you want it. This is the holy grail. It was for me for many, many years, and it still is. There are many times I will see a color in a palette on screen or in a book that I like, and my first go-to place is hit the swatches, hit Susan Rex's book, and see how close I can get to what I'm seeing in the book or on the screen. And again, it's hit or miss. It's you know, that's the beauty of playing with dyes. Now let me just show you a couple custom colors, a couple colorways that are on fiber that were completely mixed from primaries. There's none of these involved, although it could have been, but these are some of my favorite colorways. And these are going to be going into my spinning kits that I'm working on right now. This one is called Lilacs in the Air, and if you can just see these gorgeous shades. And the thing of it is that's cool about this is that none of these shades came straight out of a pre-mixed bottle. They came from mixing your own, so they are going to be unlike anything anybody else has done. And that's really the key, right? To do what other people are not doing, to do something different. And these colors are just gorgeous. They're complex. They're mysterious. Where did they come from? How did you get them? This is how I do it. And of course, once you get a palette down for a bunch of fiber, you can lift certain colors from that palette for accents, such as these beauties are going into my die kit, or I'm sorry, my spinning kit, and these were taken from this guy. Now, another thing I want to talk about with these colors in particular, sometimes, as you all know, some dye shades, premix colors even, will split, and you will have, like, olive drab from Prochem is a great example. It splits into these beautiful navies and greens, and at first you're like, hey, those aren't the colors I wanted, but the colors will separate because it's a premixed color, and sometimes those colors that it's made up of will separate out into other colors. So that's what happened. That's what happens with this colorway when you can see this green here. It's like a blue-green. I'm like, what happened here? What is that? I don't know about that. And it also happened with the locks. You can see here. Hopefully you can see. And you know what? I'm okay with that personally. I think it's cool. I think it's just a byproduct of mixing colors and having fun with color, and you just, sometimes it's an unknown. You just don't know what you're going to get. And the testing and the trying is all the big part of it. So this is Lilacs in the Air. These are going to be spinning kits for you guys, and I'm so excited. These are going to be so much fun. But again, this shows you, I lifted 2 colors from the palette just for the locks, and woo-wee, are those going to be nice. This one is another one. This is one of my favorites, from long, long ago. This is called Love Potion, and Love Potion is going to be an incredible spinning kit. Just a little story. Love Potion came about. This guy I was dating, there were happy times, there were bad times. The happy times, all these bright colors. The bad times, the dark, it was just, that was on my mind when I was looking at these colors to blend them together. Your relationships that you have in your life can also inspire color. I don't know how great the color can be a lot, but sometimes it's, even a rough time can give you some color ideas. And these are the colors I lifted for the locks. Woo-wee, look at that. Oh, I can't wait. Just can't wait to show you guys these. And it doesn't always have to be deep, rich colors by a long shot. And this is one area that I need to really go into deeper is pastels. Now this is my Peachy Sage colorway. And again, these are all blended colors. These are all completely 100% unique, and you can do the same thing. You don't have to be limited to Prochem's idea of a blended color. It's a good place to start, and you can do that, no problem. But look what else you can do, and that's all I'm trying to say. So, take a look at the locks for this guy. Ooh. And these are still, I don't have these all nice and everything yet for kids. These aren't even dry yet. But that, my friends, is how I go about creating color. And this tool is just a fun way to go about it. Now, there's other tools online as well. Let me take you, again, let me go out of full screen here. F11, there we go. Let's go to another one that I really like. And this one is called Color Lovers. I have been enjoying Color Lovers for many, many years. And it appears that they really have added a whole bunch of advertising and everything to their site. But this is yet another site that I use to get palettes. You don't have to buy books anymore, although I still do. But you can absolutely, look at all these ads. Holy moly. I wonder if I can pay to just be on here and not get ads. But Anyway, this is another fantastic tool that that I really enjoy, and I think, trying to see, I don't know if I'm logged in or not. Yes, I am. I'm logged in. Let me go to my profile, and I will show you that back in 2008, I was doing colorways. Here is Love Potion right here. This is Love Potion. I drew it from this palette right here, and you can see these colors. Yeah, it's pretty close, not too far off, right? And what I loved to do back then, and I probably still would today, the person that came up with this colorway, High Wire Art, I hear a Finch, or that's the name of it that she called it. I will dye up this fiber with these colors and post it on here and show them, because a lot of these artists create palettes. They don't do anything with them. They just, these colors are pretty together. I create a palette, throw it up. They never actually get to see someone do something and use those colors. So when I post my my interpretations of their colors, it's sort of like, oh wow, I love seeing what you did with these colors. And it's just a nice, it's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome, this has totally made my day. It's just a feel good thing. You use someone else's design and share it, make it your own, but share it, show them this is how I get, you helped me come to this great product, to this colorway, whatever. Anyway, this is, so let me go back now. Hang on, I gotta go out of full screen again. I'll go back to where I'm at. I will make myself big again. Hi. All right. Anyway, I really want to thank you guys for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I'm never sure how much people really want to get into color theory. I know most people just want to have fun and they don't want to think about it, and that's fine. But it's always nice when you have a little bit of knowledge and you have some tools at your disposal to make your time and effort perfect, to make it, where you can make better choices for colors, and you can do great things that just look fantastic. And so I really hope that everyone enjoyed this. I will probably try to do a couple more demos before Fresh Lotus Designs WAFA show, which is, of course, shameless plug, November 29th, 5 p.m. So be sure to come and join us and see all of the cool stuff that we're doing. We're doing some really neat stuff. I've got some previews I'm going to do from here on out. I've got some really cool leather accessories that I'm going to be doing, because just to, not to toot my own horn or anything, I don't want to do that, but my main skill is cut and sew. That's what I do. I'm a production sewer. I can sew anything. So I decided it's time for some really cool leather accessories for spinners, and so I'll be showing you a preview of that sometime this week, I think. But in any case, until then, thank you again very much for coming. I really appreciate it, and we will see you at the show. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you later.